mind your business. Eat fruit and mind your business. Hey guys, and welcome to another week's episode of Eat Fruit Pod, EFP. I'm your girl Kay.
I'm your girl Killa, or A's to you.
So I'm loving the fall vibes. Like I love every week you're bringing in the seasonal wear. Which one is? Yeah, I'm loving the fall vibes, the lavenderish vibe. At least that's what I'm getting here.
Oh yeah, I didn't expect it to be anything near to this. This is my old just plain black crew. It was like let's just try something. Let's try one of the folding techniques, and this is what we got. I'm feeling it. It's crazy.
I'm feeling it too. Yeah. So how's your week, Killa? How's that going? I seen your post with Metrolinks, but you definitely do not have to start or address it if you don't want to.
I'm just documenting my living experience currently with Metrolinks. It's one of those billion-dollar companies with federal projects do what they do, which is great. We all got to do what we got to do kind of thing. But yeah, it is a bit discombobulating, but other than that, it's forcing me to look at what I have, and I'm just like, as much as you guys are shaking my walls, I have walls. As much as you guys are waking me up, you're waking me up out of my bed. And as much as you guys are outside, I have shelter. And the little things that have been happening, yes, I've been a little front page with it, but that's been making it so that we can actually record right now. Before I was getting hammered nonstop. So there's a little and like I said, it's making me look at the things that I do have. Because if I had to focus on that outside, I'd be losing my nuts. So it's not so bad. How about you? What's your week saying?
Thanks. It was here. I don't know. It went by kind of fast, but it's been good thus far. As you said, literally, despite everything, I've been waking up with a roof over my head. I've been waking up with clothes to wear. I've been waking up with food to eat. I've been waking up with a phone to be able to communicate with people that truly love me, and just setting my boundaries as I move forward. Yeah.
Sounds like an awesome week.
Thanks, Killa. Your week doesn't. I'm upset that, honestly, I'm upset that you really do have to be going through that, because it's not fair. And a lot of the times, for us as Black women, as soon as we say anything out of our mouth, people just take it as, oh, there they go complaining again. And it's just no, I'm actually somewhere trying to live and have peace while y'all are trying to encourage us to, either stay inside or get shot up. So, joke up in our arm. So with that being said, it's I would love for the space that I'm in majority of the time, regardless of the choice I make, to be as habitable, and with winter coming and all of that. And it's just come on.
Yeah.
Come on. When you see those picketers outside of a politician's house for a day, bare things change very swiftly. Very swiftly. So it's why do you have to go through that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know who I could do that to, but if I could, I would definitely go in at some ungodly time and reset somebody's internal clock, just so you can see what that does to your psyche. It's not actually cute. But I don't know. God gave me gifts, and I'm pretty sure I'm gonna get around it. Because that's how it always is. Thanks. I'm a divergent ass nigga, and I do it well.
Thanks. So let's get into what are some of your thoughts, hopes, and goals going into this Libra season? As Killa and I have been vocal about, both of our birthdays are pretty much days within each other. So we are both Libras. And yeah, I want to know. Shout out to our Libras out there. Um,
This is just all around like a pretty big birthday, like 10 decades in the game, and there's like a new frontier altogether. So that's number one. And I'm not somebody who like harps on age. I pretty much just been calling myself 40 for the whole year. That's how I am. Like, whatever, we're almost there. Like, by the time I get to halfway through the year, I'm like, well, we've never been closer to the next age. So I might as well just start getting to it. But now that I'm closer to it, I realize that I have 4 decades to look back on. And it's imperative that I look back on it. And now just that has kind of like snowballed into a whole like regimen that has to be kept for like the rest of this month for sure, leading up into my birthday. And I usually start maybe like a week or two before, like I'll make sure I get more meditation in, like I'll start putting in good vibes to my next year. But this year I feel like I was also, I know I was prompted to take it more serious. Not that I don't take it seriously, but I'm getting a reset. So it's just like, I really feel like I'm stepping into a new phase into my life. And I'm just working on putting the goals out and putting the desires out for this next phase. Cause who knows how long a phase lasts for in God's eyes, whatever it is. Like, I want to see good things, but also like I've learned so much. And I've learned to value my experiences because like, I don't have an MBA, but I don't really feel like I need one because like I have a shit ton of life experiences.
You're super certified.
That part.
You're
and like
super certified. Yeah.
I'm coming into a place where I'm acknowledging it for myself and not feeling like I'm being cocky about it. Like it is what I bring to the table. It is part of my acumen. And I'm kind of just sorting through all of those things, but also sorting through disappointments, sorting through things that I thought didn't turn out necessarily that great. And I'm not like wallowing in it. I'm taking all the good. Like in the last month or so, the line that keeps coming to me, and I am living it. I don't give up. I'm living it, is whoever told you you have to take the good with the bad was lying. I'm only here to take the good. I don't have to make myself responsible for whatever bad there may be out there. And I know that's easier said than done, but like we talked about that space last week, like that self-governing space. If I'm in my self-governing space, I can commit to taking the good and not taking the bad. So yeah, that's a whole little rundown. I have like a little journal, a little note like this, and I'm journaling. I'm not a big journaler. Like I'll jot things down because I have to, but I'm not somebody that like lives off that every day. But I've been doing it more frequently just because I feel like I need to put that extra little effort in, and we'll see what happens in the new year. Cause you know, the harvest time is my new year.
It is.
Yeah.
And I like, first of all, want to say, my nigga, you look nowhere like you be looking younger than me. Like, if there's a person where I could say, yo, like, this is how I'm trying to like be looking on some like, are you sure you're not an alien?
Shout out to Angela and Robert for having some ridiculous vampire DNA. Shout out to Dolores for just being that bitch. I just don't know how you got that level of DNA, but like it's literally a family trait on both sides. Go see my sisters and they're just like, actually when I worked at Chubby's, there were Black people there. And even the Black people, when my family walked in, they were just like, what the hell?
Who is who?
Is wrong with your family? Like, how is this possible? My manager came up to me and she's just like, how old is your mom? She looks like she's like 40 or something. I'm like, I'm closer to 40 than my mom is. And she just looked at me and she was just like, no. And she just walked away. She's like, we're not having this conversation in the kitchen. And I was like, all right, cool. I got to get back to my post anyway.
No, like seriously, if there is like, for me, I take that as like a sign in life to be like, you know, God's favor. Amen. It's definitely like upon someone, and like the way your DNA and your skin be set up, like literally favor.
Yeah, and that's another thing. Like the way that God has decided to like put a certain set of blessings, like is definitely the time before the harvest to just have some gratitude for like the way I get to move in life. You know what I'm saying? Like what's going on outside is annoying AF. And really it's just like, it's the offense of it, but everything else is absolutely fantastic. Like I have to be happy with what God gave me and some. I need to be happy and some. Happy plus change.
Amen. Do you feel like being at this age, like if you could really say like looking back something that like you're like, well, like we said, like your goals moving into the Libra season, like what is that kind of looking like for you?
Right now it's looking like me going inside and focusing more on me, and that's not on a like a egocentric tip. It's like I need to figure out what I'm offering. I need to offer it. I need to make myself ready and available to offer it. But beyond that, like God has a plan. And I definitely know that if I'm abundantly gifted and favored the way that I am, that means that I have work to do. And God's going to call me to do what I'm supposed to do when he calls me to do it. And that's kind of what I want to do. I just want to be ready. I want to be the person that's ready to receive the things that God's literally promising me, like in broad day. We're not on a hearsay anymore. We're on a definite, like, okay, so I'm on a path. And it's just being prepared. Like I've always had this little thing when I was younger, you know, the story of like the ants and the grasshoppers. I don't remember what it's actually called. And like
it sounds vaguely familiar.
Find a grasshopper and like he doesn't get ready for the winter and he ends up in the cold.
Jeez.
He didn't prepare himself, and like I liked the grasshopper's vibe, so I always vibed with the grasshopper. But I had to think about it and be like, you hate the cold, son, so you don't want to be out in the cold with a thin sweater. And that's
like, can we pause there for a moment? Niggas, y'all don't know Killa. Her winter gear is like
A1.
Top of the top tier. Like when I see this girl is warm when she be outside in the winter, like fire, from gloves to jacket to everything. And that's one staple season I could say, like, yo, when I'm excited to see Killa during winter because she be busting out that lit winter gear.
Is crazy because I can't stand winter, but because I'm so adamant on like being warm. I find those blanket jackets, those bag jackets, and it just ends up being a whole vibe. Yeah, man.
Yo, I gotta post that TBT of when we were in foot action.
Oh, yeah.
That is a good example of your winter fire. You had the pink Nike gloves. Never forget, they were super fire. I think you were wearing the Tims. Yeah, that was a super fire episode.
Yeah, man. And you know what? Like, I give thanks to Toronto for that because, like, I don't think we always have like the best style throughout the year, but when the weather gets warm and we have to start, it gets cooler and we have to start layering, and it gets cold and we have to start putting those outer coats on and whatnot, and the tubes run out and shit, like we step up our game drastically in the cold up here in Toronto. So cheers to Toronto for giving me that.
Cheers to Toronto on that, for real.
30 degrees, please. Thank you.
Yeah, like, so for me, some of my hopes and goals stepping into this Libra season is to just like keep winning, like, and that's winning on every fucking level, like straight up, like, and it's not not being humble. It's like I'm embracing that. I feel like a part of like the upbringing was to like, it's like I was almost uncomfortable with receiving good things that I love, things that I really wanted. Like, you know what I mean? There's always some like guilt association, or like, you should be really grateful. Like, not that you're not, but you know, like, ooh, like stepping into 30, my nigga, like, yo, it is. I am embracing all the wins. And I'm not like toning that down to make others feel uncomfortable, like straight up. And that's not me. That's like, when I say that, that's not bragging on social media. That's not that. That's just in my regular life. Like, I'm not enjoying experiences that I know I've always been looking forward to or wanting to be a part of, because I'm afraid of like how others may perceive it or think of it on any level.
That's pretty major, because that sounds like the thief of joy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thief of joy, but that just sounds like to have to hold yourself back. Just sounds like torture. But also the whole point is like, we're all supposed to be examples. You have to be your best self in order to be your best example. Even if you're holding back your joys, like you're holding back a piece of yourself. So that just sounds damaging and limiting, and something that we don't even want to get into or be part of
at all. And like, as well, for me, I'm also like taking, like, presently and actively like working on and being out of the state of worry. Like, worry is no longer a part of my life. That is the affirmation. That is it. Worry is no longer a part of my life. Like, I feel like that is a huge part as well of that conditioning of like growing up in a Caribbean household. Is like, you're part of like your purpose of living is like what that worry is, like worrying about the mortgage, worrying about the car insurance, worrying about just all, like, everything. And like, no, why? Like, life is going to life. And yes, there are things that we can do in our life to create these safe fences and boundaries, and making sure that, like, as much as we can, you know, these things don't happen. And that's just another part, like another conversation in terms of like work ethic and etc. But like, my nigga, I am not waking up with worry being the first thing on my mind, and I'm not going to bed with worrying about something going to bed. I've been really reading this book by Jay Britt, shout out to you, King. And like, he's a former monk, but he's really he's not, as I said, former monk, but now he's come out with a book. And let me see the name of the book, because I know people will be like, what is the name of the book? It's called Think Like a Monk by Jay Shetty. And he has really been like blowing my mind. And like, he spoke about that state of worry and like how much that affects us. Like, he was speaking of it in the perspective of like your morning routine or your nightly routine, but like going to bed, like that moment of even like you wake up, the first thing some people may do, myself definitely included, is pick up their phone. Like, I'm not twinkling my toes. I'm not really embracing the moment, like everything is functioning before I pick up, you know, a device and tap into that like digital world. And it's so key, like he's saying, if you're checking your bank account or you're thinking about like the phone bill or something right before you go to your bed, my nigga, you are setting up your thoughts, your whole sleeping experience to be about that worry, and guarantee you're going to wake up again with that worry. And you're just now making that a habitual like feeling in your body. And that is what is literally turning us down. I know I'm saying a lot, but like, it's like, yeah, this book has been blowing my mind. So worry is something like that whole Jamaican lifestyle. I'm leaving that. I can pay my bills. And if I'm motherfucking late, I'm gonna call y'all. We're going to figure it out. But worrying about it is what I'm not going to do.
Amen. And judge. And I love that you brought up the fact that two things you brought up that I really like, the tapping into that world, like that's major. That is kind of why I'm just like, you know what? Social media has become a habit, and I'm gonna have to control that habit because it's not always a productive habit. Sometimes it's just a habit that you can pull, like you reach across and you're like, okay, and now I'm doing it. Not really into that, but also the whole part of growing up West Indian or Jamaican and being taught worry. To add on to that, it's almost like I kind of felt like my parents weren't satisfied if I wasn't worrying. You know what I mean? Like if they saw me and I looked like I didn't have enough worries,
you're not
me something to worry about.
Literally. Literally, because I'm not calling your phone to worry about something. When I pull up, that means that you must have money. You're this, you like, let me give
Yeah.
you something then. It really is that energy. Like
Yeah.
1000%.
My mom used to walk in the room and like if I'm doing nothing, oh my God, I feel like she thought I didn't have anything to worry about, so she just come and give me some stress. And I realized that it was just that lack of worry, that lack of like apprehensiveness that I had in that moment. And like I don't know why it didn't sit right. And I once again have to bring it back to like trauma. So you know what I mean? That's the type of household that you grew up in, kind of thing. So to see your child sitting down chilling, you're just like, well, look at your luxuries.
Right. Right. What?
Your business.
What? Yo, that literally, can you put that on a shirt? Well, look at your luxury. Like, what? But like, it's Saturday morning. I've been going to school all week. Why do I have to? And Sunday, you're gonna make me get up early as well to go to church.
And then my thing is like, I'll clean your house, but can't I just do it at like 1? Why do I gotta do it at 9 a.m.? Why do I gotta do it at 8 a.m.? Can I do it at 12:30? I'll do it at 12:30.
What? Like literally. And let me ask you a question. Do you find like when you go to Jamaica, because they always say, oh, we can tell the fire in the dam right away. But when you think about it, right? It's because literally everyone down there, shout outs to everyone back home,
Amen.
is wearing the worry. And it shows. So not that we don't have worry, but our worries are definitely different. It's first world. A lot of first world shit. So
but it's also a mindset. You know what I mean? It's definitely a mindset because at the end of the day, like you can see what everybody has up in foreign and be like, oh, you don't gotta worry about money. You don't gotta worry about this, or you have if you have money, you have this. If you have money, you have that.
yeah.
You have this resources, you have that. But like we can easily say, well, you know, you wake up in paradise. You grow your food.
That's what I'm saying.
Walk 3 feet. Actual take 3 steps and you have banana, you have chocho,
Mango, everything.
Whatever your hands feel like you should have. You wake up because the rooster crows you up. That's your alarm
literally
clock. Like, we could all sit down and leverage somebody else's life and existence and be like, well, you ain't got nothing to worry about. No, I think it's a mindset. Real. I think your mind is telling you that you should feel like you have a worry, but like such a slippery slope.
For
and
real.
Just like you said, like you make a habit of something and before you know it, you're no longer thinking about it. You're running it. Your brain is running it like a plate. That's how habits work. So you're just worrying for the sake of worrying. So are you enjoying your life? Everybody dies, but not everybody lives.
That part. And like, you know, when I think about shout out to all our essential workers and like my mom and stuff being in that field of nursing, like, and they're putting pressure on them to, you know, get juke up in their arm, etc. And it's like they literally feel like, I'm not saying because I can't speak for my mom, but a part of me is like, I feel like without nursing and going to church, which was like 2 things that were actively taken from that generation, is like they feel like it's not like they don't have a purpose. Like their whole lives are embedded into going to work, whatever that job is that they've had for the past 20, 30 years from them come up from, you know what I mean? To like, as well going to church. And like during this panini, that's something that I would say, like they had no choice. That was something that definitely affected, like just on the outside looking in, that generation. I'm just like, you can't just walk into church. Like you got a online registration. You can't go this week, like virtual, like all of that, you know, and it's just a whole bunch of stuff. And it's just like, if they don't have that, it's like nothing. And I'm like, yo, honestly, through this, there's been a lot taken from me, but there's also been a lot given. And I'm choosing to leave that worry behind. Like I really don't have to worry. So why are we forcing it?
Truth. Just from habits passed down. We might have to say that worry might be a generational curse. And for some people, it might very well be. It might be life. Serious things. So you're letting go of worry for Libra season. What other Libra season situations?
Yeah, like,
or releasing. Who knows? Release is a big thing. I gotta clean out my spiritual closet, and I have to clean out things that don't serve me no more.
Facts. And we've definitely been talking about that, like even from like June, July. Like I was like, Killer, I'm trying to throw this shit out my closet. Like
find that like a purge has been a definite like reoccurring theme for 2021.
Yeah.
I'm excited. I like when
I'm excited. It's like weird because I remember like younger birthdays is all about getting the party and the booth and the bottles and the this and the that and who's coming and da. Like literally, and like this year, I swear to God, like nothing is planned, but I feel so good and grounded and like I feel like even more joyful than like when I would have all of that stuff like going on. You know what I mean? And I was just like, yo, like, is this getting old? But I don't feel old. Like I feel more vibrant. I feel more aware. I feel like I'm really coming into the woman that I'm supposed to be, you know, and finding that purpose. So it's just like, I'm really excited, you know, 29, 30, it just sounds real different, you know. I feel like niggas gonna respect what you gotta say just a little bit more. So I'm excited for that. And like I'm blessed to, as I said, like I was even reflecting on like what we've been building here and everything. And I'm like, yo, like that is like so beautiful to me to be able to look back at like 22 weeks of something and be like, yo, we did that. Like we're crushing it. And like that is something like, yeah, I've gone to school and done all that, but that's something I could say like we literally built from like the ground up, and we got like we definitely have way more hours and shit behind the scene that people don't even like see that we take to build this. But like with Eat Free Pod, like we literally have 22 weeks worth of like growth to show niggas like, yo, you're not alone. Like we can do this. Like it's a mindset thing. It's a self-care thing. It's all of that. And like thank you for like, you know, sharing like this time with me in this space, like because it's really helped me week after week after week, like have to show up for something, to show that I'm committed for something, to show that like there was nothing there. There's nothing there, like nothing there on the ground. And we literally like are building the foundation, the cement, like all that, the roof, putting in the windows, the doors, like all of the fixtures. So like I don't take that lightly because like we said, we speak about like, you know, our generation of parents, and it's just like, I look in their lives, what have you done that with?
Yeah. And like when you say that, it almost seems like they don't know their purpose or they don't feel like they have one. That's actually a good way of describing it. I just feel like that assimilation that they thought was the best way to go, like taught them to trust in other things other than their faith. And one thing that I believe right now at this point in my life is that faith is more important than anything. Like the one thing that hasn't led me astray in this life is my salvation. Everything else, like nothing else has that track record. It's not to say that anything else, BBBB for real. Nothing else is like, it's not that anything else is bad. It's just nothing else has that track record, like faith and salvation. And I just, even the way they learned religion, and I mean, like, I'm going to speak about Jamaica. In Jamaica, like, church is still very much what the slave master said it was supposed to be. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just like, that's dangerous on its own. That's a whole other topic. But that whole personal connection with God and having God lead you, because, you know, God had people running around naked because he said so. But he had a reason for it and prospered them and did whatever they needed to do. Like he used them in their life, even when everybody else thought they were crazy. You know what I'm saying? And that's documented in the Bible. And I just believe in that like faith just makes more sense to me at this point. And I don't feel like they're necessarily in touch with their faith. They haven't been for a minute. I don't know if they've really had that real personal connection. I think they might also see God as just like the order giver. You know what I mean? Like I have to do what God says. I have to do what's in this book, in this Bible. And I'm like, you do. But like, are you talking to God when he's sending you those messages? Like, are you deciphering them? Are you really sitting down and saying, God, okay, whatever you need me to do, here's what I can do now. Like, please fill in that space so that I can do what you need me to do. And it's just like, there has to be a personal connection, but I don't know how deep they've gone into that personal connection with God so that they can believe in faith more than man.
Facts.
And that doesn't surprise me. And when you say that, I'm just like, yeah, because that's how it seems like, well, you know, I just have to keep my head down and work. And whatever I get from that is whatever I get. And I know that faith is the same way, but it's more fruitful. So why would you choose that? Yeah, that's good insight.
Yeah, it's really, really great. A lot of fruit.
Eat fruit and mind your business.
So, did we talk about what we're leaving behind?
What I'm leaving behind, well, I am leaving behind a lot of trauma. What I've been picking up is just like dismantling my childhood household, and hopefully I'm dismantling it completely at this point. Like I feel like I've done a lot of dismantling, and I'm hoping that there's nothing left of that house when I step into 40. And I realize it shapes your ideas, it shapes your personality, it shapes where you limit yourself, it shapes where you'll let yourself thrive. And I just don't see why I should be walking into a new phase with like a cosign from God to say, hey, if you have something in your heart, as long as you cover it in love and compassion, you're in the good to get it. Like I don't see why I should have maybe the lack of love in my household stopping me from feeling like I'm worthy. I don't see why, you know, like me learning that or not realizing that I lost my village. Like I don't see why all of that should be stopping me now. Also with leaving all that shit aside, I'm kind of glad that I am as mature as I am at this point to have to see some of that trauma unfold. Because I feel like if this was even 12 years ago when I was actually bawling and praying for this shit to be handled, I don't think I would have been able to uncover as many things as I've uncovered now. And for sure, that's a big thing that I'm leaving behind. And it's not on some, I have to. It's just like, it doesn't serve me anymore. The ideas that come from it don't serve me anymore. So I'm ready to let go of it. Like I'm ready to be my best self. I'm ready to use all my gifts. I'm ready for God to give me them downloads. Like I'm ready to live a purpose-driven life.
Yes. Amen.
Yeah.
Amen.
So that's definitely one of them. Some of them aren't necessarily things that I outright just releasing, but I'm also having to replace. Like I am not compassionate because I'm a very straightforward and abrupt human being. Specifically when I'm using the truth, like I thrive on the truth. And I have no problem with the truth being brutal because I accept the truth for the truth. I love the truth. So when I'm speaking, I don't sugarcoat my words. And I remember seeing a meme saying something to the effect of truth without compassion is a form of brutality. And it resonated because I was like, it is. It is a form of brutality. And I do take that. I took it personal. I felt like I needed to. And that's something that like I wanna work on moving into the next phase is just, you know, I'm known for not mincing my words, and I was always proud of that. But like there might be a time and a place if it comes time for you to reach the right people kind of thing. And that's not for gain, that might just be for help. Because like I said, if God's telling me that he might have to set me up a certain type of way, like I might have to change my frequency to establish language and communication with somebody. You know what I mean? Like
when you say change your frequency, like what do you mean?
I can tell you what I'm feeling. I'll specifically speak to the fact that people tend to take the things that I say as advice. Now, if I'm talking to you about something that maybe you're sensitive about, or maybe you need to receive, but you are only have a certain capacity to receive, I don't know how to change my frequency. I'm barfing up whatever it is I think. That's it. Now, I'm getting older, and I have learned that language and communication are two different things that need to work together at the same time. And sometimes you might get a certain level of pushback, and you're like, well, you're not ready, and that's your business, so whatever. But really, it's just like, I don't know when my words are. Some people like just reject it.
Sorry, Killa. The last thing I heard was you don't know when your words.
You don't know when your words are gonna be like absorbed. So I can, if I say something, you might take it as advice today, or you might hear me say something and something happens 3 months from now and you're like, fuck, I remember what she said. And now I'm thinking about that. So it's like, just leave them with a better taste. You know what I mean? As opposed to just be like, chomp all this down, when clearly like you haven't been chomping it down all this time, kind of thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. Big talk.
That's huge. Because like, I don't know how to mince my words. I really don't. I'm actually like.
But that's also the era you come from, where it's just like, nigga, like, you know what I mean? Especially like Toronto, like those high school, early like elementary school, middle school years. It's so like, it's so important. Like every stage is important to the person that we are today, but like memories that we can really remember, like beginning to end, I feel like really happened around that time. So it's just like, it's very important, very important. What I'm leaving behind is my, you guys let me know at home how you feel about it, but like I'm leaving behind my lack of forgiveness. Like, and I had to remind myself, like, forgiving others is not like for them, it's literally for me. And that's why even a lot of the parental things, I like a lot of personal things, like all of that, I really, during this year of 29, really been able to not coast through, but like really deal with the things in a more healthy manner. Again, I'm referencing to this Jay Shetty book, but like he talks a lot about forgiveness, and like there was an activity in there that I felt really, really was like powerful for me, in the sense of like writing down a list of all the people that you consider like you don't forgive, and writing like a letter to them. And depending on what it was, so like if it's something that you were hoping to be forgiven for, then it's like, please forgive me for. That's how the sentences should start. And if it was like you not forgiving someone, then the sentence would start as, I forgive you for. And it's not to give it to the person, anything like that, but just having that out. And it's like, he's like, the only thing we write are like, or write down are like our affirmations. They teach you to write that down or whatever. But you also have to like, I like the perspective he had, in the sense of like, you also have to write out the negativity, write out the things that you also don't want like to be a part of you, but in that way, like, you know what I mean? I forgive you for, like, you're releasing that energy to be like, I'm no longer going to let that be a part of like my soul and my like subconscious. And it's not to say that, you know, you don't like, you're forgetting, because people do some really fucked up shit, but that is like the level of growth I'm really trying to aspire to continue to practice. So the lack of me not forgiving people, because there's a long list of motherfuckers that I'm like, you know, this to me, you know, that to me. And as a Libra, like, that's our shit. That's our shit. And I will own up to that. That is part of our shit. And like the minute you cheese me, the list just comes out like fucking like vomit. You know what I mean? So I'm learning, along with me winning, I cannot embrace all of my wins if I'm continuously worrying and continuously harboring that emotion or that present feeling, like as to like why I don't forgive you, like continuously reminding myself of that. Not to say it didn't happen, not to say I'm like in an unhealthy way trying to like block it out, but the fact that I continuously have to remind myself like this is why I'm angry with you, that takes up a part of your soul that you really do not need to give to others. And that is something that I know once I really practice that, like my wins are going to be even more ridiculous.
Word. That's actually a great one. I like that. The writing it down to release it. I did something similar, not necessarily saying like I forgive you. It was I released the things that I didn't want to see, but I also made the affirmation about what I wanted to see at the same time. So like they corresponded, I released it, and then in order for my energy to go somewhere else and be useful, I put it where I wanted to see it. As a little one punch for the manifestation.
I love that. You really do, like, and it's just, like even saying that out loud, where I know a lot of y'all are about to hear it, really listen to the way I think, or like Killa's thinking, and like really like personal thoughts. I also felt like it was so important for like we spoke about the last episode, vulnerability, to just like continue on that path, because I'm really not doing it for you. I'm not doing it for that. I'm doing it for like, if you listen to us every week and you're a part of this family, like we really mean what we say here when we're trying to grow and be our best selves. So if you're really about that, then these conversations are for us, and it's for you, and it's for us to apply it to our lives. Like, you know what I mean? Because nobody's perfect, and there's always lessons to be learned. And with saying that, I'm not going to like deeply get into this whole like Karen Civil thing, but I did vocalize my opinion on that to say like I choose to use grace with her regardless of all of this coming out, because as well, I'm one of those people that I love to like, I've been following her career, and someone that I really believe she plays chess, not checkers. You know what I mean? And just through observing, like even I was on Clubhouse, and like these rooms are titled like, yo, Karen Civil, we're sending you to jail, like the most negative, like toxic titles. And she was literally coming in those rooms and letting people get it off. And like one by one, like ping pong, I heard her like I know I've always, because like I listen to her podcast, Girl I Guess. I follow her blog, livecivil.com, all of that. So when she's always recently been talking about like when she lost Malcolm, and then she lost Nipsey Hussle, like within like, I think it was like something like a month, or not even like a very short span of time. And she's really been like, she's been getting into meditating and things like that. People say that. But this was a situation where, my God, this will test all of the, picture a room, 8K was in the main room. And there were about 15 other Clubhouse rooms that I could count that were spillover rooms that people could listen to the main one that people couldn't get into. And those rooms are averaging about 800 to like, that's how much like I seen a bunch of niggas couldn't wait for their day to be like, this is whatever. And I'm not neglecting the DMs that you guys have sent me, letting me know, experiences and things that you have had with her. But I stand by what I say. I'm choosing to use grace. And like, obviously there are some things that we feel like are unspeakable, but when we say we're forgiving people, we're really thinking about the situations on a full spectrum and whatever. Like, that's how we have to approach it, because at the end of the day, if something bad were to happen to her, or she were to like die or something, those same people are going to be the ones to be like, yo, RIP, like, yo, it wasn't that deep. It wasn't like whatever. Like, it's just, I feel like the more in life that I become seasoned, I experience loss, I experience wins, I experience all these things. When I see these situations, I really don't approach it like I used to. I just see the person that's really championing that energy on the other side of it, just being like, I feel sorry for you. And I really hope that, you can come to a space where we realize how we really ooze out our hurt. Hurt people. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, when you peel back all those layers, that's all we're witnessing. Hurt people, hurting people, and actions that she has wronged people or people that, you know what I mean? Because I wasn't there. You know what I mean? But like, hurt people. So I'm not going to be like, she's getting what she finally deserved. Those sentences, those spells are like out of my life. Like those types of thoughts don't no longer exist with me. So when I see someone getting ganged up on, that is no longer like, even when I have full swing and full right to be like, yo, definitely in all aspects, whether I know them or not, like that is just the stance I'm approaching it with, because that's how I want to be approached in life. So I have to give out that energy. And there are people out there that definitely could have stories to say, yo, they were dealt with in this way by me. And yesterday's person is not today's person.
Truth.
So I'm giving that out. Sorry, it was a tangent, but I was like, it was there. And like, yeah, a lot of people were DMing me about it, and I felt kind of overwhelmed. I felt like I was kind of like low-key being backed in a corner to like defend someone I've never met. And like, I hate that like social media kind of like pins it that way. You know what I mean? Even when we look at this whole Kanye and Drake thing. So it's just kind of like, even how they dealt with like the whole Nicki and Cardi B thing. So I was just kind of like, yeah, like that's I empathize with your experiences. Like I really do. You know what I mean? And I empathize with her experience, because whatever happened to let the plays go out that way. And on the other side, right? Just as my last like thought towards it, on the other side, as well as like being a business person and growing in that well, and really in a boss position and understanding what that is, I feel like there's an elite set of people that niggas know they go to, and they just want the job done. They're not going to ask you, my nigga, how'd you get the job done? They just want the job done. And then when you come back with the blood dripping from your hands, like, you're now upset, and you're like, what did you do? And you're like, you said, get the job done. So that's what I will say. Sorry. Yeah.
See it. Yeah. I don't know anything that's going on with Karen Civil.
I know, because you've been off, and you've been, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, and there's like, me saying that is nothing like bad. It's just like, that's like, you know what I mean? For just me and my world, like, you know, that, as I said, that's someone that, if there's one of the people I've always talked about over the years, I'm like, I admire seeing this woman's come up and her growth in the industry. And like, there's a lot been happening on social media. And like, it was just those situations that we can, case in point, we can label someone to that every single time. So I just really sending Karen Civil grace out there, sending Jessie Wu grace out there, like all the parties involved, you know what I mean? And no one deserves to be bullied. I'm not making it a Black woman thing. I'm not making it whatever, just period. Like, no one deserves to be like bullied like that. And it's just like, as I said, it's like, if something were to happen, you know what I mean? And like, niggas from way back and today, yesterday, whatever, are now coming 6 years ago, whatever, and just be like this and this and this. And it's just like, my nigga, you had bare opportunities to discuss this. So now that you see someone like trying to champion this wave, don't like tag on to that energy. That's not how it goes. And the more I'm learning about business, and as I said, that elite set of people, like, there's a real art to it. And like, you blinging off on Twitter and whatever, that is not how business is done at certain levels. So if you're trying to be up in the upper echelon and whatever, like, yeah, to a certain degree, it pays to play. And like, that's the reality of it. And as well as I said, nobody asked these niggas. There's a lot of people in the industry. You know what I'm saying? How'd you do it? Niggas ask you how you do it. But nigga, do you really want to know how I did it? Do you really want to know? Like, when you get into certain rooms, even watching shout outs to our craft, Tomb Raider again, Cradle of Life, and the part where she gets to that part in Africa and like the mountain of the people that live on the mountain of God, you know what I mean? Shout outs to y'all. And they were like, he was like, yo, all the people that were with her, he was like, you gotta go. He's like, only she can hear these secrets. Because once I tell you this and lead you to like the Pandora's box and all of that, like, that responsibility is on you to like know what to do with that information. And everyone's not ready for the fucking information. All you're doing is looking at the vanity aspect of it and being like, yo, she posts Birkins and this and that and whatever. And it's just like, my nigga, do you like, you never look at anything that anyone has and be like, because you do not know what niggas do to get it, period. So I'm never like jealous off of like what some of these females portray on social media, and we could get caught up into seeing these Birkins and all this shit. And oh my God, like, you know what I mean? Like, my nigga, they're only showing you a square. Like, that is not even in real time. So, yeah.
That's that.
Well, that's that. So moving forward, Killa, you also want to discuss what is our relationship with trust? I felt like that is like huge, but we're gonna try to simplify it, I guess, as much as possible. So what is
your relationship? Things change all the time, but it's just like right now we were talking about faith over man kind of thing, and that's where my trust is right now. And that's kind of another reason why I'm just like, man, I ain't got nothing to worry about, because I've learned trust in a very like authentic way. You know, like I didn't learn to put my trust in the appearance of things. I learned to put my trust almost like adjacent to my intuition. And my relationship with trust is definitely a healthy one at the moment. I believe I'm operating from a place of trust as opposed to a place of worry. So I also am operating from a place of belief. And it just helps with my faith. So that's my relationship with trust right now, personally. And I just have to look back at a time when like I didn't know how to have trust per se, and I was trying to like.
We weren't taught to trust people.
Yeah, like you know that whole like we're cynical, and yeah, for good reason, but like all of those concepts like trust and vulnerability, once you have a proper grasp on them, they're so powerful. Like you use them as tools as opposed to you having to be afraid of them, or you having to like do a bag of other things to move around not having them, you know? So that's my relationship with trust currently. And I'm thankful for it. So I was thinking it was a thought. So I wrote it down off the strength of like, so where would everybody else be? I kind of wanted everybody to ask themselves that, like, where am I with trust? Like, do I even think about that? Do I operate from it? Like, where am I operating from if I'm not using trust? Like, what do you do when something's a little bit bigger than you? Like, where do you find your trust? If you're not using trust, what are you drawing on if you're not drawing on trust? So it's just a little like internal thought that I had, because you realize that everybody's not the same, and that like your experiences and everything you've been through shape how you move. So like I wouldn't be able to speak for everybody else, but yeah, one of the things that I had to really take in as something to be grateful for was the relationship that I have with God that helped me foster a healthy relationship with trust.
Facts.
How about you?
I love that. Like there were so many ways, like when I seen that, I was like, oh my gosh, there's so many ways to go about this, you know, but I'm super plugging this man's book, but like back to Jay Shetty.
And the girls are here for it, okay? He talked the talks. He was giving.
Yeah, like Think Like a Monk. That book, it's definitely something I'm going to read like 2, 3 forever times, like for real. A lot of game to soak up in there. But he spoke about trust and the fact of like the human race and the fact of like everyone to some degree is somewhat a part of like the same entity as like the human race. And like the fact of like, you should trust everyone. And we do trust everyone. But what we have to be mindful of is obviously we do not give the same level of trust to everyone. So it's like, yes, I trust everyone. But like the trust that you give the Uber driver is possibly not the same trust you would give someone in your family or someone you deem like in that inner sanctum to you, you know? So in that sense, like trust as well for me is like vulnerability. And we've talked about walking into that space. So I gotta trust that being vulnerable is okay. And being vulnerable, I have to trust that it's gonna work the way like I intend and I manifested for things to go. So literally everything that I do, everything that is downtown world, that is trust. That is like I can't see it. I don't know. I cannot see the end, the pot of gold at the end. I really put no limit on this and where it could go. I just trust and I've been moving forward within that. So with that, I would say my relationship with trust definitely used to be horrible. I'm toxic. I was thinking about them the wrong way. Even when it comes to like intimate relationships, like, oh, I trust you because you fucked me like today, you fucked me yesterday, and like, yeah, so that means like, yeah, I can trust you. Like, no, that's not trust. Like, and even then, you still can't even. The trust is you, like, and I feel like a lot of the times we're taught that like trust is like the other, like the energy in front of you, like kill, I trusted you, like my nigga, what? Like that's the key sentence right there. You trusted me. Like it's a self thing, and it's the same thing with like forgiveness, you know what I mean? So in that sense, I definitely am tearing away from that. Like literally we're tearing away from a lot of things, like a lot of detoxes are happening, like killing are purging the fuck out, you know what I mean? And definitely I am trusting everyone. I'm trusting everyone, but my level of trust is different. It's not the same. And I'm being vulnerable, and yeah, it's healthy to trust. When you don't trust, that is when I feel like the character traits of like a lot of that have a lot of like negative associations, being like sneaky, and that like that's what happens, or how people can perceive you if you don't trust, or you're actively always making it known that like I do not trust. But imagine walking out every day and you're like, I trust and I love and I forgive, and those are things that are really embedded to you. That 24-hour whatever experience it is, when you leave your comfort zone, or even when you're trying to like meditate within yourself, it makes it like so much different.
Yeah. But also like I was on have you ever heard of The Secret Language of Birthdays?
No.
So you should Google that. It's a whole trip.
The Secret Life of Birthdays?
The Secret Language of Birthdays.
I feel like you told me about this like a while ago, and I was supposed to, okay, yeah.
So like when you look it up, it just has this whole chart of like the week and the month and the whatever, and like everybody has like a whole analysis. Like I'm born the week of theater and the month of magnetism, and
so it's a book, The Secret Language of Birthdays, book by Gary Goldschneider.
Right.
Okay.
There's a whole class website.
Oh, okay.
You're gonna bypass this book because like there's an interactive website where you can actually like key in your birth date and like get your reading. And I like keyed in somebody else's birthday because you can key in relationships and see like what the reading is on different relationships. Mm-hmm. So I keyed in somebody, and like part of their actual life chart in The Secret Language of Birthdays is that they're gonna have to work on trusting God. Like that's one of their walks in life. is to trust God. And like, I read their chart and I was just like, your whole entire chart screams, you have an important work that needs to be done. And then I like bucked up on that. You got to trust God. And I'm like, imagine that it has to be put in your cards that you're going to have to work on trusting God, because like you can't move forward without it. And it's just like this little theme that kept coming up. And I was like, I wonder what everybody else is thinking or feeling about that, or what they're seeing, where they're seeing it. And then even when you look at the current state of life, and you're just like, there's a lot fostering mistrust out there. It's like, how are you navigating that? Like, if you don't have a healthy concept of trust and how to do it at this point in the game, like this, there's little things happening, but there's a lot of little things, and then there's big things happening, and then there's a lot of big things happening. So it's like there's a lot swirling around. And like, is it still something that you can navigate? And for me, yeah, it is. And I have to look at the virtues, and I have to look at the things that like I'm really resting on. And I'm not resting on the things that man has told me I'm supposed to be resting on. Hence why I'm saying that like my salvation has never, ever, ever led me astray. And like the world is looking ass backwards. But yeah, like the whole concept of trust, and even sometimes the whole concept of trust, and like how people will almost kind of go against their better judgment and trust in something that they're not supposed to, you know? Like, we're all looking at the government right now. We're like, who are these people? You know, like, can you trust them? Well, they've been showing you that you can't. But then you have something like the election, and for me, well, we'll talk about that a little bit later, but like, you look at what it is, and it's just like, so in my right mind, can I trust? You know, it's just like this weird concept. Well, not everything is weird right now, but it's weird within the world at this point.
I was gonna ask, because like I really didn't want to skim over the rest of the stuff that we had, and like due to time, did you want to save that for next week's episode, or did you want to just like, I got a lot of things to say.
Yeah, then that's totally up to you, because I think it all ties in, but at the same time, like, it's going to have a lot of details, because we both have a lot of views on it.
Facts. Yeah, and
I don't mind holding it back. That's why I was just like, let me save them talks for that particular subject. And they all really just mesh in together, so we could totally sound off next week.
We can really pick up right where we left off, guys. We promise. We promise.
Eat fruit and mind your business.
Like, no, seriously, because you know, we really do want to have a transparency talk with you guys about like the vaccine, and we haven't really like talked about it, but like it was because, you know, Killa was more ready in a sense than myself. So I'm at a place where now I feel like I can, you know, kind of talk about it more publicly. So we could definitely get into, you know, Nicki Minaj, all of it. And I really do not want to skim over, because like if we do this now, I'm gonna let y'all know it's gonna bring on almost like a 3-hour episode, and I know y'all got shit to do, including myself. And like, this is something that like, it's serious. It's very serious. And like, yeah, Killa and I need to say what we need to say. Period. Like, we will not be silenced, similar to Metrolinx, all of that. We will not be bullied. We will not be silenced. And like, as Black women with a platform, like, I'm ready to talk about it. It's my truth, and that's that.
That is that. But be clear. Be clear that the Negroes are going to talk to you about other things to leverage what we're talking about. Not saying it's going to be like a whole little trigger warning or anything, but like, a lot's going on. A lot. And they all have like basic themes to them.
Facts.
She's right. Going down to a virus, to Metrolinx, to anything federal, to an election, like, they all have a theme. They all have like these common threads. So we're gonna boil up the Jamaican ginger to give you the real tea.
Yeah, we haven't done some hot Jamaican ginger in a minute. We haven't done some hot Jamaican ginger in a minute.
The real things. We might even put some honey on it because, like I said, sometimes you got to make it a little sweeter for you.
Yeah.
We might. You never know.
Oh, my nigga, like the next conversation we have, let me see. Like I'll be like Killer will be it's literally like, yo, we're exactly like a decade apart. So literally when you're turning into your new decade, I'm going into my new decade. It's a decade that you're literally just leaving. And that is beautiful and art to me in itself. So I'm definitely excited to like, you know, have this conversation because the more grown I get, you will not silence me. Like you will not silence me. Yeah. So what I guess thoughts like trust, you know, ask yourselves, guys, what is your relationship with trust? And you can, you know, let us know what you think about that as well. Even if you're not a Libra and you're just it's a new fall season, all of that. What are you leaving behind in the season? What are you taking with you? Like, what are maybe some of the practices that we mentioned today that like you would definitely like to try? If you try it, what were the results? Like, let's really have that conversation and continue to like grow together because we are women and we are humans and like everyone is relatable in some capacity with everyone in the like if you really think about it, every single person in the world, there's at least one thing you can find to relate on. So it feels lonely, but we're not as lonely all the time as we think.
I like that because it's the truth. And when you realize that, like, the world is a little bit warmer.
I love that. So that is a perfect space to leave this week, guys. Please continue to like show us your support, write us your reviews. Special shout outs to all of our queens. Happy birthday to Shana Kurasi. Hope you had a beautiful birthday. Shout outs to Queen Amethyst. You know, you guys always definitely show us like love and support on the blog. So I definitely like, I'm never going to be shy to like give you guys a special shout out. So thank you so much just for the love and transparency. And I hope that, you know, you're blessed by this word today. I feel like we had church once again.
Oh, it's those kind of times. Like, you know, you might have shut the doors, but you didn't shut down the spirit. And that's just how that goes. It's a whole ass thing. But yeah, thanks for joining. Whole nother week. We got some Sant Lacey butters going on over here. Check out the site. The site is up. I got the site up. Yes. I look at that site and I'm like, it took you this long? It took you this long? I'm like, but you're here. But you're here. So yeah, check out the Sant Lacey site, santlacyskin.com. We got coffee scrubs. Kay's about to get her sugar scrub on. Life's good. Move forward with gratitude and trust and vulnerability and love and compassion and like all the best to everybody tuning in.